Red.
We have LB.
LB.
Nuke it, nuke it.
Do it, Latin, please.
Do it.
I'm throwing everything now. I also have more anger.
Ooh. Oh my fucking god!
Holy shit.
Jesus
Jesus
Christ.
Christ. Fucking man.
Welcome everybody to MogTalk 127. Today is November 11th, and we are discussing the world race. Sorry for that messed up intro a second ago, but I want to make sure we got that static outside of the show for the YouTube watchers here, and the people listening to this on audio recording. We are doing a show completely with the people from the group of players, from the group of Bahamut Size Ultimate. And if you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, MogTalk is a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community where we discuss everything from Savage raiding to Chocobo racing. All right, before we get too much into it, I do want to introduce who we do have on the show. We have 4 members joining me today. First, I'm going to introduce someone you guys should know if you're familiar with Angered at all, Mr. Kakashe, the leader of Angered. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Frosty, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, dude. You want to take like 2 seconds and just introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, I'm the GM of Angered. I've been around since the launch, and we're still going for hardcore raiding ever since. If you've been watching our previous raids, you would be familiar with me. And this is the second time I come here to the show with Frosty. Thanks for having me.
Of course, dude. Of course, man. I love it when you're on the show. And then next we have Raffter, who's been on the show a couple of times. He's been memed as the one-word response guru. But I think he's going to change that today, right, Raffter?
Who knows? Maybe.
There's a couple of words there. You're doing pretty good. Man, can you go ahead and just introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. I'm Raffter. I'm the tank of the Group 1 in Angered. I've been raiding with this team for 3 years now. And yeah.
Okay. Good enough. Good enough. And then we have on with us as well a wonderful, wonderful player. You guys may know them as Ayesa or Spencer. Spencer, go ahead and tell everybody who you are.
Hello, I've been in Angered since the end of Midas, playing Scholar and a little bit of Nocturnal Astro for Deltascape.
Okay. So you're pretty much the Angered healer. When people think of healers and Angered,
No. Alaya is the Angered healer.
Oh,
I'm just
Alaya.
some
Okay.
pleb that gets carried.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Next, we have with us, I don't think you're quite in Angered now, are you, Aya?
I think currently I technically actually am. But,
You are? Technically? Really?
Yeah, the question is if I'm staying.
Okay. Fair enough. We have would you say you're the newest member of Angered right now, Aya?
I'm not sure if I'm the newest member of the free company, but at least of the wait group, yes.
Okay. Perfect. Aya is a wonderful, wonderful player. He was originally on Delete Monk, but has gone to slash Bahamut Size Ultimate in Angered. Could you go ahead and just tell everybody real quick summary of who you are, Aya?
Okay. I started the game playing on backwater servers like Lamia, then moved on to do speed kills on Gilgamesh with Delete Monk, where people came to know me. Then I did some progression cycles with Delete Monk, both Omega and Ultimate, except we disbanded in Ultimate and then Angered picked me up.
There you go. All right. So now you guys have a good idea who we have on the show. If for some reason you were unfamiliar, which would be completely insane. But let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Today we are doing, again, the interview for the World Third, and I think EU Second, right? EU Second, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure I didn't miss anything. There's a lot of Japanese groups on the board now. which is abnormal for the world race. But guys, we're going to be discussing everything about Angered today. We will go a little bit into the fight, but I do want it to be mostly on Angered's experience throughout the fight, so you guys get a little bit more familiar with that, because everybody's seen, at least have seen 7 different clears on this fight so far. So to start it off, I kind of want to talk about when you guys went into the fight and before, you guys were getting in there, how you were prepping for everything. You guys have done World First Racing how many times now? I think 5 different tiers. Is that right?
So I
Well,
think
it depends.
3 when I started with the group.
Go ahead.
It depends what you think of world racing. I mean, looking at the start, we were aiming just to get a place on the server, and then we were looking to get a place on EU. And once we did that, we were just aiming for world top 5 always, and we ended up first twice, and we ended up third in the last one.
Right. Okay. So you guys have seen it a while. You guys have seen the Gordius race, right? That was a pretty long race. You guys have seen the Midas race, which is when you guys were starting to get really close to the top, and then Creator, right?
Yes.
Which is when you guys got first, and then you guys got first again here in Deltascape. So the races that you guys got first on was done like within a couple of days. Is that right?
Yes, it's like comparing 100-meter race with an endurance race. It's a total different playground. 100-meter race requires different mind setup, and a long endurance race requires different things, and it has more chances of failing due to things can happen. Some of them which Frosty, which are private, and some of which you don't know.
Yeah.
which was mostly in management and kept there, but it could happen, and with more time doing a progression, it's natural to have some kind of what do you call it, negatives, you would say. I mean,
Okay.
I was listening to the EU first interview you had, and I think I heard them say the last few days they couldn't go as hard as the first week, and that affected their progression, and they were pretty close to world first. I heard they were on Enrage while the guys cleared world first, so maybe that affected them getting world first. But as you see, it's when you get a longer race, it's just some things you can't control,
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the interesting things is that no one knew how long this race was going to be. Actually, I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a short race just because our expectations were already set really low with the content that came out recently. Well, not recently, just over the last year. It was just so quickly defeated. What were you guys thinking going into this race? What were your expectations for how it's going to turn out, as in difficulty?
I'll let Raffter answer that, but I remember talking to him, and he said I expect even to get to the 10th in the world. For some reasons, I don't know if he wants to share it or not, but we didn't expect much this prog, but we knew we would do a good job in the end and clear it. I think any group that clears this fight with the difficulty it has, it's really how to say, a good teamwork group. It's not easy to get a clear on this fight. Yes, it will be easier with the guides and everything, but it requires a certain mindset to clear such a fight.
Okay, Raffter, what was your mindset going into this?
I expected the fight to be of like a difficulty that it would take at least a week, I would have thought. After the first few days, like, we knew it would take a while. Like, there was never a kill in sight, even for the whole of the first week for us. Like, we didn't even know when the last phase was going to be.
Yeah.
Towards the end, I guess our expectations dropped kind of a bit. We had to lower our hours in Brock, and it didn't really affect that much because other groups did. I didn't expect other groups to like slow down this quick like we did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know about the GP, but at least for EU and NA. And then when we had to make the roster switch from Box 4 to Aya, then it didn't really slow things down. Like that transition went really smooth. Aya is a really fast learner. It didn't take him long to adapt to what we were already doing.
Hmm. Okay.
But after third groups started slowing down, like we thought we were still somewhat in the race, and we didn't do too bad. It could have been better though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, were you surprised? So you said you expected a week when you were first going into it. Were you surprised that it was taking so long, or that the difficulty was at where it was?
I guess I was somewhat surprised that it took this long. I mean, the fight isn't hard. The problem with the fight is that goes on instantaneously, so you have to keep reaching the same point of the fight, like half an hour in or 50 minutes or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, and then you see that one thing, and then you have to get back there again and see the next one thing, and that's like 5 seconds happens 5 seconds later from the previous.
Right.
So it's
So
just like learn as possible.
to kind of follow that up, you know, were you guys, before you guys got into the race, besides thinking about like the difficulty and everything else, I kind of want to know what you guys were planning with the race, because everyone was kind of confident. I was confident you guys were going to get first place. I think a lot of other people were kind of in that mindset. Oh, Anger is going to get it, because Anger's just they got it. They know exactly what they're doing. They know how to achieve the first kill. But what were you guys doing internally to kind of plan for that? You had other groups running, right?
No, we had only our main group. Anger was hit with a perfect storm this prog.
Oh.
We didn't have any other groups running. We couldn't plan for it because some people couldn't take days off, or their groups are not well equipped for it. You know, some groups are going to do good on other progressions, but with the rate like this, you need all 8 members to be at the same level with the same mindset to get to the last to the finish line.
Okay. So you guys actually went in with just one group in the race for this fight?
Yes.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I was thinking there was going to be more in there. Maybe because the last race you guys had 3 teams, but maybe for something like this, they just weren't prepared for it. Okay.
I believe for next prog we will have 2 or 3 teams, but for this prog, we just didn't have it. It requires time, and we just didn't have it.
Okay.
From what I know, they wanted to compete, but no one knew exactly how long this prog was going to take. So as soon as it came past the margin in which they can take time off work or like do hardcore hours, then they had to like kind of drop out after that. Like they didn't expect it to take this long.
Okay. All right. So this next question, I'm going to ask Spencer, so I can get him to talk a little bit about it. Spencer, when you were going through the race, and then after that first day, how did you kind of feel towards it? When you realized, hey, this isn't going to be a one day kill?
Well, I wasn't expecting a 1-day kill to start with, but after the first day, I still don't think we had a gauge on how long the fight was going to be. It wasn't really until we started seeing the Bahamut trios and seeing how little uptime you actually get on him in between doing all those mechanics that we kind of started to realize that it's probably like a 20-minute fight. And at that point, I think we kind of knew that it was going to be at least a week.
Okay. So I mean, like after
there was a tweet from someone, and I wish I could remember who it was. I think it was Momo though, who said, "Don't expect to kill this week," and that was on the second or like the third day, I think. And that pretty much echoes what we were thinking as well, that no one was going to kill it in the first week.
So pretty quickly, you guys started to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys have like a reaction to that? Did you guys feel upset? Were you guys excited? I mean, how did you guys feel after you realized this was not going to be a super easy fight?
I mean, it was good. It makes a change that the content isn't being rolled over in like a day, so for us, it was good. It's like a challenge that can actually test our players rather than us just brain AFKing for a fight.
Would you guys consider 04S kind of brain AFK?
Yeah, of course. That fight is just a joke.
Just out of curiosity, have you guys gone back into like normal Savage or anything since you've cleared Ultimate?
Nope.
No. Spencer, Aya?
I've done one Party Finder 01 Savage, and that's about it.
Oh my god. So, how did it feel going into that 01 Savage? I'm trying to ask this of all the groups because it's such a weird transition going from Ultimate to back to Savage. Did it feel like you were just like playing, I don't know, Hello Kitty's Adventureland or something?
It definitely did, and also I got my first experience of what Party Finder players on Chaos Data Center are like, as I got greeted immediately in French.
Okay. How did that feel, Aya?
Being greeted in French or doing 01?
Doing 01 with French players. Like, could you just not? Did they speak English at all to you, or did they speak any way to communicate?
They made no attempt to speak English.
Okay.
However, we did kill the fight in only 2 puts, so I'm proud of them.
Oh my goodness, that was like, the same amount that almost every single group that didn't even know what the fight was. That every team cleared that within two pulls, I think, if they were an organized team.
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. So going back to this, when you guys start to realize it was going to take a little bit longer, what adjustments did you make to kind of accommodate this? Because, when you're doing a race that's really quick, sleep kind of goes out of the window because you're like, hey, we just need to keep going until we get the clear. But at this point, you have to kind of make some adjustments to make sure you can still stay in the race and be competitive, right? What were those adjustments?
I think Spencer needs to comment on that. He loved the nice breaks he had during the raid.
Okay.
So I think we went about 10 days without making any serious adjustments to like sleep or breaks or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like the second half of that time was productively spent, since we were all pretty much zombies at that point, and we needed to do pulls that were at least 10 minutes long to make any further progress in the fight. So I think our productivity kind of nosedived after the first 4 or 5 days. Vox needing to step away meant that we cut back on hours, and I think after that we started seeing more progress because people actually got to sleep at night.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I'm starting to get old, but I can't do the 4 or 5 hours sleep for 2 weeks anymore, and still be bringing my A game.
No, fair enough. So I guess basically it took you guys 4 to 5 days to start calming down and take it at a steady pace, like a marathon.
No. We
pace.
went hard for 10 days. We went
for
hard,
10 days.
Super hard for 10 days.
Okay, so you guys were sprinting for 10 days, and then you went to that marathon pace after that. Okay, do you guys feel like if you did a marathon pace within those 10 days that you might have actually gotten it cleared a little bit faster?
In my opinion, yes, but you can ask the others. They'll probably give you some different answers.
I think yes as well, but not at the very beginning. I think the first few days people are still really pumped. They don't need that much sleep. They're still performing generally well. When you start hitting that mental block around day 6, then yeah, people need to start resting properly, I would say.
The first few days, you can get a lot out of just brute force pulling. Even if not every pull is great, you can still see new stuff. But when it's 10, 12, 15 minutes in that you need to get without any mistakes, you start to notice when people are tired. And when you get random deaths on Nail or random deaths on Twintanya, people missing their tower on Heaven's Fall Trio or whatever, you start to notice when people are tired.
Okay, so you guys feel like you can just brute force it for 4 or 5 days, and then you need to actually go to a slower, more healthy pace.
It depends on how far you are into the fight, I think. But yeah,
okay.
I think for us at least this time, it was those first 4 or 5 days, I think, where we were making reasonable progress.
So when was it? So 4 or 5 days, you start noticing clear like exhaustion wipes, not wipes that were just like done from learning the fight, but just because people were exhausted.
Well, it's hard to pinpoint it because a wipe is just one person making a mistake, and you don't know why that mistake was made. Even if you made the mistake yourself, it's not always possible to say, I made this mistake because I was tired.
Okay.
But if it's one person, it could be a different person making a mistake every pull. And you might not, put the finger on, we need more rest or whatever. But I think it was. Like, so a lot of the times I was screwing up were like in nail phase where I get a doom, like I get the first doom buff and it's not clicking. And I don't move into it in time. And I notice, when I've got 2 seconds left on it and it's on the other side of the room and I can't get there in time. But I chalk that up to being tired, something like that.
It's a good excuse to fall back on. You could say, I'm tired or I just suck, and then it's more depressing to say you're tired, or more depressing to say you suck versus you're tired, right? So I would say always.
I mean, I don't think it's an excuse.
Okay.
I think it's just being realistic at that point. I expect everyone in the group to be able to do the mechanics, like we're not bad players, so when everyone's switched on, there shouldn't be mistakes like that.
Okay.
The issue is like when people are tired and you're just autopiling through Quintania and Nail, because those fights are like boringly easy once you've learned them, like they're just a joke. The difficulty is like non-existent. So when people do make the odd mistake there, then people know, oh, I've got to do another 6 minutes to get back to Bahamut again, and then someone else makes like a stupid mistake, and then it's the same story. Like when people got to Bahamut, they generally became more alert, even when they were tired. But just going through those first 2 stupid phases where you're basically AFK half the time, then that's when people started to like drop, and then obviously by the time you got to Bahamut again, people are just like getting exhausted, and you can tell they need their sleep.
Okay.
There's the other kind of mistake on Twintania where if you get targeted by hatch multiple times in a row and you're not sort of in the Neuralink as soon as possible to take the hatch damage, the debuff is still on you when you get targeted by the next orb. And so if you're not aware of that and you don't kite for a bit longer, then you could wipe the raid. And we saw a lot of those wipes.
Okay.
Just because people are on autopilot, like, oh, I get an orb, go blow it up, whatever, keep DPS in the boss. But if you don't think like, oh, I've got to kite for an extra 1 or 2 seconds for my debuff to drop off, then you can wipe the raid.
So I guess I'll ask this as a kind of a weird question. Before, there wasn't a cooldown reset, so if you wiped at a certain point, you may be waiting 5 minutes before you can actually attempt the fight again. It seems almost like that whole factor was reintroduced by adding in these first 2 phases, the Nail and Twintania, where you have to clear through that every single time. Would you guys prefer having start over and instantly get back into the fight, and then you have to clear Twin and Nail every time? Or would you prefer, hey, we have to wait on CDs and just sit around and wait?
I mean, the CD thing wouldn't make a difference. Like, if we didn't have cooldowns, we'd still pull Twintania and Nail and still meet the DPS check. It would have made no difference. They'd just been slightly slower.
Well, let's say they removed Twintania and Nail, all right? And then you just, every fight, every single time you pull and you wipe, you have to wait 6 minutes because you have to wait for cooldowns. Would you prefer that over having to do Twintania and Nail and not wait for cooldowns at all?
On this particular fight, I would rather do nothing than do Twintania and Nail.
Okay.
I think on like other progression cycles, it would be awful again if you just have to wait for no reason.
Yeah, it's because I feel like if you have to just sit around and wait, you kind of lose your drive in a way. You start to slow down, but if you're actually just going in there and you're having to do all this stuff again, it keeps your fingers moving and warm. Or am I just crazy?
Not sure. I think if you actually pulled Bahamut immediately, people would be on alert immediately, as opposed to just snoozing off during Twintania and Nail.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, let me get to this next question here too, because kind of when you guys were going into the fight and you were doing all this, you eventually made a tweet, right? You guys remember this?
I made a tweet.
Kakashe made a tweet. How many people have access to the Angered Twitter, by the way?
All management, but they were all. I mean, me and Guinea Bear were available to handle things in the FC while they were raiding.
Okay.
But most of the time, I'm tweeting on the Twitter to give updates.
Okay. And you guys tweeted, we are not going hardcore anymore. We're going to pull back and do less hours.
That wasn't the first tweet. That was the second tweet.
Okay, what was the first tweet?
The first tweet was the tweet that went all over Reddit, and I had so many people like giving these theories about what's going on and stuff, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, what the fuck? What did I do?
Yeah. Oh, God.
I'm paraphrasing, but it said something along the lines of the hardest fought times in any race are near the end.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, we saw that, and we're like, huh. I saw that. I was like, I looked at it immediately, and I said, oh, okay, well, that's kind of a nice just thought out there. But everyone was saying, oh, well, okay, it's almost over. We're done. We're about there. How close were you guys to clearing at that point?
Not close.
I mean, I'd have to look at the date of that tweet, but yeah, that was several days before we cleared, I think.
I think,
I think even like 2 or 3 days before World First, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember while listening, you guys were in the phase before Golden Bahamut. And I tweeted it not because I was referring we are close to killing. I tweeted it to get the cheers from the people, because when you just type something like cheer for the guys, everyone's like, yay. When you write something like this, it gets some reaction, and you saw how many like people who support Angered. I loved what happened this prog, because who supports Angered cheered for us on that tweet, and when we said we're not going hardcore, they tweeted in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
The people that don't like Angered or have anything against Angered, whatever you do, they're gonna type something bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like for me, it's just entertainment, to be honest, to watch both. But I really thank the people that give the cheers for the guys, because they felt the effect. They say we saw what happened, and it pushes people to do more. Like if you're watching any kind of sport,
Mm-hmm.
and you see the people at the stadium or whatever cheering for the team, they get an effect. The team pushes more, they focus more, they try to do more. It helps, you know, even if it was just 1%, it's something.
Right.
And that was the point of the tweet. It wasn't referring on anything. I just used the phrase to get the masses attached to the tweet, and it worked, you know.
Yeah, in a different way, kind of.
I guess I can give you the Delete Monk perspective of how we perceived the tweet. So you tweeted that shortly before that, like 4-hour maintenance at the end of the first week. And we took that as you guys reaching last phase, because we reached last phase directly after maintenance, and we were like, oh shit, we are like 6 hours behind Angered. And then we stayed up for another 5 hours despite already having been up for 16 hours, because we were like, if we go to bed now, Angered's gonna kill it. Last phase is fucking easy. So we stayed up for another 5 hours for no reason, with like tired as hell, with no realistic chance to clear it because you guys tweeted.
So here's the thing, like I've said this on a couple of shows so far, that you guys can be a little tricky from time to time, and I feel like this almost falls into that same ballpark. Almost. Do you feel like maybe you wanted to have some of that effect happen, Kakashe, at all?
Well, to be honest, really, this time I wasn't tweeting for any kind of reason. It was just to attract the masses on the tweet and get them to cheer for the guys.
Okay.
But the reflection of actually, I was like, what the fuck? You know, I remember talking to Raffter. I was like, what's going on? He said, you put Reddit on fire, man. Look what you did. And I went and read all of the remarks and the things that the people wrote. And I read the replies on the second tweet when we said we're not going hardcore. And I was like, wow, man. what they do and what they write is just amazing, man. I wouldn't have even thought of these things, and I was like, I should better not write anything anymore because it's just too much.
It was just an
But it's a
excuse,
dangerous
Kakashi,
weapon.
right?
Yeah, actually, this is why we lost. You know, this is the reason. Huh? This is
Yeah.
what the people want to hear, right? No,
Yeah.
it's not the reason, man. It's not the reason. Well, I'll tell you frankly, we lost, frankly, because the other teams were better prepared and had better teamwork, I would say, in the sense of killing it in the few hours they had. Simply as that. But what do we get from this progression? Let's talk about the progression itself.
Yeah.
We get the best results from this progression because we had a problem with recruiting, and not meaning recruiting good players, but recruiting people that want to do hardcore. In the past, how was it? It was just, I'm going to stick with my team. I mean, it's just possibly going to be 2 days of clearing, and I'm going to be done with it. If it's too much, it's going to be 3 days. But now you get a progression where if the team wasn't all in the same mindset and they were all in the same level of hardcore, they will never clear it. So you get teams that break down, you get teams that still keep going, but the really good players think, what am I doing here? Because I'm never going to clear it with those guys, right? And then they look for other teams. And this is good to all hardcore teams, not only Angered. They will find more chances of really good players to create something really challenging next progression. And we already have the effect of that. I mean, a good example is Aya in front of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, in Anger, we were always proud of Group 1. Everyone, the guys that performed well, the guys that didn't, the guys that had problems, the guys that didn't. It's just our thing. And I told the guys, this progression, when I wrote the last tweet, I told them that I'm just going to lift the pressure on you. I'm going to announce we're not going hardcore. Take as much time as you like. It doesn't matter anymore. And that itself made them take longer hours of rest and eventually kill a third.
But they were a little bit more mentally stable.
I agree, but you gotta understand, Frosty. We can't share everything.
No,
there
you
were so
gotta
many
tell me
things.
everything. Tell me everything.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I can tell you the things that you know. I replaced Frosty, but
I replaced Frosty.
Sorry, I replaced Foxy. I'm not referring that Foxy.
Dude, you're gonna mess this up. They like the last show in Delete Monk, or no, it was the one before that where I had Evie on. It went around in the Japanese community that I was part of Angered.
You are, man, aren't you?
What the fuck? You're gonna confuse everybody. All right, go.
I'm taking over MogTalk.
Yeah,
the thing
Kakashe
is-
does MogTalk. Yeah. Go
The
ahead.
thing is, with Vox, he's just temporarily replaced. It's not like he's gone. He just had certain family issues that if he wants to share it with the people or not, it's up to him. You know about it. I told you about it.
Yeah.
But to keep us going, we had to get someone to jump in his place, and we couldn't find someone better than Aya to help us out. I'm really thankful for that. I mean, if he wasn't here, we'd have trouble because we would have got someone else that doesn't have any experience in the fight and train him again and go through all the phases again, and you know, like how that would be. It's very hard to get someone with the correct job with the same or better experience than the group itself and get the clear. We were actually lucky there, and we did get it. But I have to put one thing out there.
Yeah.
In EU, the only FC that won world first is still Angered.
Yeah. That's
People
true.
need to know this.
Yeah.
People need to know this because winning world first is not gonna come by just luck. It needs so much preparation. And every group that doesn't win world first, they need to see the negatives in the group. They have to see, including us. They have to see the negatives in the group, and they have to see, why didn't you get world first? What could have you done to get world first? I mean, same as NA. I think NA Elysium is the only FC that got world first, correct? Maybe they didn't get NA first last prog, but they did get world first twice in a row. I don't think any FC got world first in NA.
Well, I mean,
Other than Elysium, right?
isn't Stardom like they're all part of Stardom, or am I confusing that?
Well, from what I remember is that Lucrezia got it twice in a row,
Well-
and then Elysium got it twice in a row, and then Anger got it twice in a row. And it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a curse. Nobody can
Oh.
win more than twice in a row. It's like, what the fuck?
So here's the other thing to that to add in. Like before you guys were starting, you know, and I told Evie this, I was like, I'm hoping you guys don't win just a little bit, right? And the main reason for that is because we hit this phase. If one group's winning every single time, that starts to get stale.
Yeah.
It really does. And it's the same thing when Elysium was winning over and over again. I was just like, you know, I'm always kind of rooting for some underdog here to kind of come forth and give a challenge, because you guys are awesome, but if you get bored and you don't want to play anymore because there's no challenge out there, then, you know, the race just kills itself. And so I'm happy in that regard that there were other teams out there that could kind of come up and achieve world first. Even though I love you guys are amazing. Talking to you guys is really great. Although Raffter, for some reason, he just says yes and no to half my questions, but that's okay. I root for Elysium. I root for Angered. I root for all the main groups that go out there.
You know, the best part of this is when we went to Germany to the Gamescom. I don't know if I have to share this here, but I hope it gets translated to Japanese. And
Okay.
I was with Yoshipi, and one of the things we discussed was about the summoner and the raids and stuff. And one of the things I said to him, I was like, where's the support to the Japanese groups? Why do you guys lose 4 times in a row now? And like, you didn't get world first for 4, raid contents. And we get this raid and they just blew us. I can see the smile on Twitter, and he's like so happy. And I said, we got the point and we accept the challenge. Next prog is not going to be the same.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's get back. Sorry, we're running off on a little bit of a tangent here, but it's still good. It's still good. Okay, so Aya, this is kind of an interesting thing. I want to talk a little bit about Aya going back into your team as well. How'd you guys get Aya? You were just messaging him one day and you're like, hey, you want to come in here? Or like, how did that whole thing get facilitated?
When Vox told me he needed to take some personal time, I was like, okay, I'll try fix it. So I was looking at like, what are my options? And then only like the day before, we heard Delete Monk disband due to pet issues. So, me and I have been in contact in the past, so I just asked him, and he's from Germany, so he has no ping issues playing on EU either.
Okay.
And he was willing, so lucky for us.
That's pretty well. Delete Monk's demise is lucky for you guys for sure, in that sense. Let's just say in the FC, did you not have like a tank that you wanted to pull in for that spot, or was Aya just like number one LeBron James? You're like, I got to bring this guy in.
As I said, like, we don't have any other team running in the FC. So when you get an option between a player that has experience till the last phase,
Okay.
yeah. And the other thing is, I watched the interview with the Delete Monk, and they all said like, Aya is our god on mechanics, you know. And so when Raffter talked to me, I was like, yeah, man, go for it. Why not? If he accepts, it's good for us, right? And,
so are you saying that my MogTalk with Delete Monk influenced Aya going into your group?
Well, it influenced me. I mean, Raffter knows him better than I do, but it influenced myself because when you get someone that's really capable in sense of mechanics, it's just a positive thing in the group, right? I mean, it's just something that can help you in the future if the player is available for such things. I mean, nobody in the group is like they have to stay in anger or they have to play with us. They have the freedom of choice. I mean, the best example is Leith.
Mm-hmm.
He came with us and then he left and he came back, and it's fine. People who leave with respect, they get respect. Leith, when he joined us, he didn't. Although there was some moments where I was shocked the guy can take this much heat. Back when we had big problems in anger, and he stuck with us till the progression was over, and then he made his decision. And you kind of respect a guy that does that, right? He gives you his all till the progression is done, and then he makes up his mind if he wants to play with you guys or he wants to play with another group. It's totally fine. It's up to him. I was even laughing when he was saying, I was using up your food to kill the fight. I was like, man, it's like, why? Like, I mean, I've been with the guy for a long time. I wouldn't really have any sort of issues. Actually, people who clear, I mean, when you get to the point of having hardcore teams, when you're part of hardcore teams, yes, you feel like, we lost. But you don't have this, how to say, this feeling of hatred or something like
Resentment.
that. That's just for small groups that just don't know how to handle things. Because when you give hate, you get hate, and guess what? The next thing you do is you disband and break up. You kind of learn from your mistakes. You kind of grow, and you kind of understand what happened and what led to these things. And yeah, that's what we got. I mean, they, as I said, like our loss is without any excuse or any kind of blame to anyone. We just had the situation we were in. We did our best what we could, and this is what we came up with. And we're frankly happy. We're third in the world, but I think there's a lot to learn from this prog, and we hope to get much prepared for the coming progs from now on.
All right, that's awesome, dude. That's Kakashe always kills it with every response he has, every single one. Thank you. I'm going to ask you directly this question here. So when you joined the team, like, what kind of adjustments did you have to make? I know one of them had to be the latency, right?
Latency only really concerned me on executing twisters, because twister is the most latency dependent mechanic you really have in that fight. And it's kind of just an adjustment to when you start moving relative to the Casper, so it didn't actually take too much to figure out. I think I had one death to running into my own twister between arriving here and us actually killing the fight, so that's good enough for me.
Okay.
And of course I had to adjust to their overall strategy, and I just had them show me a video of them doing the fight until last phase for me to study and take notes.
Okay. So, like, would you say going, and this is kind of a weird question, but going from the high ping to low ping really didn't cause you any trouble? Was it better for you, or was it kind of the same? You just kind of had to get used to it?
I had to get used to being able to double whip so much. It was actually a lot of fun to play, because it just felt like a different game.
It felt like a game where you didn't have to plan for latency as much, right? Yeah. Okay. And Iron Chariot, you said, right? Pretty much became non-issue.
Oh yeah, Twister and Iron Chariot are probably the two things that were the most latency dependent. Like right now on EU latency, I can comfortably dodge it like strafing sideways, whereas on NA, I had to make sure to always go backwards.
Okay. I guess the other part of the adjustment here is that I want to know strategy-wise, was there a lot of stuff that you had to get accustomed to, or did it all just make sense immediately when you joined in?
Well, there are only so many different ways you can actually solve the fight mechanically. For example, there's strat for Blackfire Trio, Heaven's Fall Trio, and Quick March Trio was almost identical to ours, so I just had to make tiny adjustments, like for example in Delete Monk we would, for Blackfire Trio, find Bahamut and move northwest with him being the north point, whereas Angard would do the same thing, except they move northeast with Bahamut being north. And then there were some bigger changes, like in Delete Monk we would tank the two bosses apart in ad phase, whereas Angard tanks them together. which was probably the thing that took me the most time to get used to. Because, for example, I died to Iron Chariot there the first time we saw it, because I never actually had to think about Iron Chariot in that phase, because we just used to tank the bosses so far apart in Delete Monk that it could never possibly hit me.
I gotcha. Did you guys Mario Kart for that trio? The Dive Bomb trio? The Octet, I think?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So that's like the standard strategy is the Mario Kart?
We kind of set it up differently. In Delete Monk, we started opposite of the first dragon to dive, whereas Angered always starts opposite of Bahamut and then Mario Karts. But in general, it's still the same strategy.
Okay. All right. So I kind of also want to know, when you were racing and you were going through, was there a point after you guys, I guess that tweet happened, did you say, hey, we're definitely not getting world first, and you just kind of accepted that and just did regular prog? Or were you always aiming to get that world first even after you guys announced that?
We were always aiming to push. I felt like if we got world first, then other groups were maybe, I don't know what they were doing if we won.
Okay.
Like, we didn't play exactly the greatest and the loss of ours. But, I don't know. When we heard other groups were in the same situation as us, then it was kind of a free-for-all. But when that tweet was out, then I would have been shocked if we won.
All right. So when you guys heard the world first was claimed, what was your kind of reaction? Like, what happened? Was there any morale drop, or was it just like, oh, cool? Or, like, what were you guys thinking?
At least for me, I didn't think there was any morale drop. At least not on my side, anyway. Like, we kind of expected it. Like, so it wasn't like a big deal for us. We just wanted to get this stupid fight over with. That was the aim, just to kill this stupid thing and be done with it.
I think if anything, it was relief that it was the Lucrezia people and not the blacklist people.
Wow.
Jeez,
I think certain people would have tilted off the face of the planet if Letha got first in a different group. Not me.
Okay.
Just other people in the group might have tilted a bit too hard. I think in general at least I kind of thought that we weren't going to get first for a long time because we were behind the curve when a lot of stuff was getting leaked about the fight. Like when Golden Bahamut pictures were getting posted and stuff like that, we hadn't seen it yet. So, I think even when stuff like the Bahamut transition, like the initial transition after Nail, was being posted, we hadn't got there yet. And I think people were on there like end of the first day or whatever. But
where were
we
you
weren't
when it
quite
was
there yet.
announced in the mechanics?
When what was announced specifically?
The world first, like when that clear happened, where were you mechanic wise in the fight?
Probably still derping on the Nail and Twintanya phase. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe we'd seen Golden by that point. I can't really remember.
Okay.
I think we saw it, like, I'm 100% sure we had like a 1% wipe on fucking, what's it called? On Nail or whatever. On
Nail Twintanya, yeah.
Yeah, like they were like 1% and we don't know what happened. I think people died and we couldn't recover it towards the end. And then I think we saw it once and then it got announced that they killed it then when we woke up the next day.
Okay. Yeah, when they killed it, I don't know why, it was so late for me. I just looked at my Twitter and then I saw it actually post on my Twitter real time. And then I had to like go around and make sure that I was actually seeing what I was seeing because I had no clue what group name they were, what anything was going on. And so it sucked having to spend the next like hour or two staying awake to figure out everything about their group because they didn't say anything about being in a race, which was kind of odd. Did you guys expect them to come at all, or was it completely a shock that you saw Lucrezia or the old ex-Lucrezia people win the race?
You know, I didn't expect it, but when it happened, I was not surprised. Like, I don't know, just seeing those names up there, it just seemed right. All is right with the world. The Kings of Coil come back and just wreck everyone else.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the other thing too. I kind of want to know, how long did you guys spend progressing on Golden Bahamut?
Like almost nothing. That phase is so fucking stupid. Like it's actually a joke. I think we
Maybe
had
a dozen pulls, something like that.
like 11 pulls. I think we checked. For me and I looked over it, like 11 or 10.
Wow.
That fight, I don't know. There is no DPS check. Like the DPS check can be easily met.
Mhm.
The mechanics are so simplistic. Like you learn to dodge it, and then once you've learned it, like it's impossible. Well, not impossible. Like very unlikely for you to get hit.
So it's kind of like
As
a
long as you plan the coordinates mitigation, it's easy.
just like a final, just quick run, real quick. Like you're done with everything, and it's just there to give you some sort of pleasure to just say, all right, hey, you beat all the hard part. Now we're just going through to just beat this real quick, and you're done. We got it, guys.
Yeah. The hard part is getting to that point. Once you get there, it's like a joke. To be honest.
What's the most challenge? Like when you're doing the fight, is there a certain part of the fight like you're all tense? You're like, hey, this is really easy to mess up. We gotta completely focus here. What part of the fight was that?
I guess the intermission was like the time where someone is most likely going to die on the Nail and Twintania combine.
Okay.
Other
Nail
fails
Twintania.
outside of that is just like people being like stupid or brain AFKing.
Right, the
One
victory
part-
lap. There we go. Sorry.
The one part I always tense up at is Earthshakers on 10 Strike Tier. The first set, people sometimes just don't adjust in time, and it's always exciting to watch.
I think everybody likes that. Everyone loves the Earthshakers of that fight just because mechanically it's just fun to see it happen, right?
Yeah, having 4 of those come out and hoping people activate their brains and go into the right spots is always a tweet.
Yeah, I remember a certain caster of ours, kind of brain AFK at the time, just clapped everyone in the raid with an Earthshaker and just killed everyone at that point. It's pretty funny to watch. Poor guy. He tried.
Yeah. Okay, so the let's talk a little bit about after the race was done and kind of what you guys were going through. You've already mentioned a little bit how you kind of feel about your team and everything else. You guys, overall, though, you feel like your team pretty much did the best they could with what you guys were given?
I think so.
I think during the prog, everyone did a really fantastic job regarding what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some certain things that maybe affected this prog that happened a month or 2 months before. And one of the things in management we are learning is we shouldn't let any small thing overlooked, because it might end up from first to third. And this is a lesson for management more than anything. And I think this prog will put in the hearts of the player more urge to get it back, for next prog. So we'll see. I mean, I can feel for Elysium, because they are still like one of those moments when I was so happy when they won on their first world first. It was, I don't know why, I just felt happy because Lucrezia looked undefeated, like they can't beat them, and then someone comes and beat them. And I guess now the Japanese community have this feeling of their new group, it's the same thing, they're beating Angle, and then I don't know where this will go, but it gives the thing. And I'm really proud of Elysium, because they're a perfect example. Like, they lost now 3 world firsts, right? They're still going on. I don't see any breakup, or they might have some internal issues, but they are still there, and it counts for something. There's no blow-ups. There's nothing going on. And I don't know about their rules about having pets during progs, but maybe they don't have this. I mean, I'm absolutely learning from this progression. If you have a pet, give it to your neighbor or do something about it. But I wouldn't come and say this is my excuse, man. Although it's a reasonable excuse, to be honest. It's a reasonable excuse, because if I had a pet and he was sick and was going to die, yeah, I would have maybe done the same thing. But saying it to people that don't know about pets, they're just going to hammer you, man.
Yeah.
They're going to hammer you with this, It's just...
It makes sense, but like as soon as you say anything, people are just going to meme on it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The lead monk had almost, I don't know how many statics, but all of them were really good. They just don't last long. I don't understand why. There are some stories internally which I hear about. I don't know if they want to share it or not.
Oh,
But
Aya. So,
Hello?
no, just messing.
but it's just hard. Like when you see a really good group breakdown, it makes you wonder. Like, what do you think? Imagine you have a really good group and you see an awesome group breakdown. The first thing you think, I hope this never happens to me. You know, because it's just a mess. Oh my God! Like, why would this happen? And then you try to understand what led to these things and how you can avoid them, hopefully, and get to a good place. Whether you get a good result, a bad result, even if our prog stopped this, even if we couldn't trade, say I wasn't there, we didn't have a replacement, the guys got tired, they didn't have leave, we just stopped. Nothing would have happened to Anger because we are like you've seen us. We've met in real life like for now 3 times maybe, and like we know each other. It's more than just a game at this point, and we kind of cheer for each other. I mean, you heard what Evie said the other day. I mean, maybe you guys were shocked that when you asked him about getting world first, he said, "Well, it's not the main goal. We want it, yes, obviously, but we wanna get a good result, and we cheer for each other, and we have this friendship between each other, and you know, it's really wonderful. If any statics out there, I mean, get really close with their group, and it's a really good idea to go and hang out for a couple of days somewhere. It brings this relationship to another level, and this trust and everything, you know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Even if you're not like a hardcore world racing group, being in a group for a long time and meeting these people, I mean, you become friends with them. I mean, this becomes way more important than you'd rather raid together than, you know, not raid together because you feel like you need to get first, right? You need to be like super best. You can kind of accept it a little bit as long as you know they're going as hard as they can. You're kind of happy as long as you're raiding with them. Right? Or around them and the group, yeah. Okay, so going on to this next question here too, what kind of adjustments do you guys feel like you're going to make going forward in the future? The stuff that you want to say, at least, that you can make, making sure that you guys win the next race. Or try to win the next race.
It's very hard to answer this question. I think you know that, right?
Yeah. It's hard.
I guess
I would say
the first prog that we've done as a group. That's not like a sprint, no. So we know how people work. I know how much sleep people need for them to not play like monkeys. Like I know what to expect from my team. Like I learned a lot of what they're capable of this tier. So next tier, next ultimate, like we can make adjustments. We can perform better. We can work on the issues we had this tier. Like it's not an issue.
Okay. So, I mean, that being said, we're going into the next race. It's going to be. I'm expecting it to be a sprint. Do you guys think it's going to be a sprint?
I'll be surprised.
I hope to God they don't make it a sprint. I really like. I appreciate what they did. I mean, if I had to go and tell Yoshi, if you do this, I mean, I don't know. Because it makes sense for hardcore players to think about joining other groups. What's the point of making a really easy content and then you can't approach players because they don't care? They're gonna clear it in 2 days. Who gives a fuck about getting? Sorry, I said, but who cares about getting world first if they are having a good time in the group and they're gonna clear it anyway, you know? But if they make at least something that's worth being in a hardcore group, then it's worth it, you know. Yes, make Super Savage something for 10 days, fine. But make the content at least lasting 4 days. Don't make it like 1 day and then everything is over.
Okay.
You know, that's
Right.
like a really... I mean, I'm not asking for them to make it a really long race. At least make it for 4 days. And if you want to make nerfs after that for other people to clear it, it's okay. People won't clear it in 2 weeks anyway. Like people who don't go hardcore won't clear for 2 weeks. So make nerfs after 2 weeks and let people enjoy the content. But don't make us just get into the fight and then it's done in 1 day and then you get people like I won't mention names, but you get people like, I mean, wow, world first, the easiest content and all of this stuff. I mean, you know, like give us something to prove. I mean, what's the
Right.
point? If we got world first on Next Pro, guess what? The first tweet or the first reply would be on my tweet is something Muni would say, or it's gonna be something, you know. He's one of the fastest repliers in my Twitter, and I always love him, man. It's really nice. And Kipling is with his trolls. It's funny.
We're
but
calling
it's-
people.
No, they are the fast replies. You can check every tweet, and I really like the interaction. But they make sense, man. It makes sense. If it's one day, what's the point?
Mhm.
You don't prove anything. Yes, it's world first. It's a 100-meter race. I mean, if you went to I don't know if you watch the sprinters of 100 meters. If you went to Bolt, it's one of the world
Usain
fastest.
Bolt. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. And you tell them, man, I mean, you guys run 100 meters. What are you doing? It doesn't mean anything, you know. It does mean something. But to this community, they're like, no, we want more obstacles. We want time. We want to see how you challenge the obstacles of staying for a week and managing time and food and sleep and everything, you know. So I would like 3 to 4 days. I mean, I can't ask for a week because they won't do it. I know they won't do it. But 3 to 4 days is something reasonable for people to clear it.
Right.
And yeah.
I mean, it's
That's
hard
my
to gauge
opinion,
that as a developer, I think. But I mean, like if they learn anything from this one and they learn anything from the last tier, they might be able to get something in between those that can do it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I expect it to last longer by default anyway.
Oh well, he's gone.
Yeah. he clicked by mistake.
Did it? Hopefully he comes back in. Are you back? No, he's not.
Man, I was terrified that was me. I was moving my headset cable and I thought I'd disconnected.
He didn't DC from the TeamSpeak, so he might have clicked something. He might be back now.
Tell him to join back in, and I'll pull him back into the chat. I felt bad because he was about to say a point, and then he's just gone. But yeah, no, he has to. Once he joins back into the call lobby, we'll go with that. But
There he is.
there he is. All right, hold on. Hey, Raffter, dude.
Hello, I think I misclicked something. And it
Yeah.
kind of closed on me.
All good, all good. What were you saying?
I said I expect it to last at least 3 days now. Like, even though groups won't kill this fight, what we have now, but when you go in there, it kind of teaches you discipline in how you perform. Like, when you do Creator or Omega, like, the fight teaches you that you can be a monkey and wipe and like just healer OB and kill the fight. It doesn't teach you how to be a better player. Whereas even if casuals are going in here and like wiping on Nail or whatever in like phase 2, like it still teaches them to be better. So you would expect the general raiding community to be of a higher level, even if it's only like slightly. So I would expect SE to and kind of up the difficulty, even if it's ever so slightly.
Yeah.
I don't think 1 day is reasonable. I think it should be at least 3 to 4 days.
Okay. Fair enough. I hope it is. I mean, they should. If they're ramping up the difficulty with every Savage tier, it's going to be a couple of days. It should at least be a couple of days. Maybe 3 to 4, depending on how they plan it out. Okay, so I do want to ask you guys quickly, are you going to go to the same... Are you going to do this again every single week until everybody gets all their weapons, like every single weapon? Or are you guys like, hey, we're going to get a few weapons and just stop?
I guess when we can go back in and be prepared for it and not hate this fight again, we might go in and get some more weapons.
Okay. So right now you guys are just resting, you're not even thinking about it.
Yeah, we're just taking a break.
Well, we had the it was a bit unfortunate. We cleared on Tuesday morning, so we cleared after reset. So we can't even go back in there even if we wanted to. Well, we could go back in there, but we can't get another weapon until Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, it's
But I
coming up
mean,
just a few days.
The vacation time's nothing to complain about.
True. So you guys are probably going to go in on Tuesday if things look good.
Yeah, we need to get Vox's weapon, so
Okay. Oh
we
yeah,
gotta
Vox.
go back in.
Oh,
But-
you kick an eye out for Vox to get him in there, get his weapon?
Well, we can't ditch Vox. He did what, like 12 days of prog with us. I mean, he put in all the blood, sweat, and tears and got nothing from it. So we can't just
Yeah.
leave him high and dry.
No,
Alex can play Dark Knight. I'll take my break. He can tank with I.
But this content should have quite a bit of longevity anyway, because it's the only actual difficult content you can do it at level cap.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there was nothing to do in preparation for this tier that's actually difficult at level 70.
Mhm.
I mean, you can go back and do like A8 minimum item level, or do Savage Coil minimum item level. But there's nothing you can actually do at the level cap with all of your skills and stuff to practice for this. So, I mean, this is now the standard
Mhm.
to, brush up on your skills and to trial new members and stuff. Like, this is the content for it.
Okay. So one of my last questions before we get into viewer questions here, the community has evolved a lot. Like the overall interest in world race and everything else has evolved into a pretty interesting state. With 5150 and everything else going on with Twitch and how people are paying attention to it. Kind of, what are your thoughts on it? Do you feel like this has been like a huge boost and maybe we'll see a lot more people participating in World First, or is this going to hurt World First because people are saying it's too difficult? Maybe we'll have less people that are eager to try it.
I'm actually shocked by how much support 5150 has got for their stream.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first few days they have like 6,000 viewers or something on Herora's stream, and a couple thousand on the other streams. Like, that's nuts. And all the interest in the Reddit mega thread as well, keeping track of the fight and musing as to Momo's latest Twitter troll post, and like, I don't know, it's been amazing to see the interest in it, just from people who aren't doing it. Like in past years, there's never been this amount of interest. Even when Layla's group was streaming for Deltascape, I don't think they had that kind of viewership.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such like an exclusive fight right now that the only way that most people can even see it is to watch it on Twitch, which is kind of interesting. But it's talking about the Momo's Twitter and everything else. I was watching Happy State of the Realm, I think the first week, and the entire show he just looked at tweets from Momo and Fold and just went over those. I'm like, man, is there really nothing else to talk about? God damn it. What do you guys think about like all the people out there just kind of tweeting as they're going throughout Prague? Because you guys didn't do a lot of that, right? Except for, the one that kind of blew up. But you guys weren't like kind of throwing these hints out or trolling people with the mechanics or anything. What are you guys going to do that in the future? Are you have any interest in that?
I mean, maybe Kakashe will, but I don't know about the rest of us.
I don't think the rest of us are active on Twitter.
I'll always tweet something to keep people engaged with our Twitter. I might use some trolls. I don't know, man. It's very interesting the replies you get, and I had like a Reddit post with so many replies. I was like entertained. It was really awesome, man. Loved it. Keep it up, guys. The trolls especially.
The trolls especially, yeah. Okay, all right. That being said, we do need to address some of the trolls. Oh God, all right, it's not too bad. It hasn't filled up too bad.
Now that you say it's not too bad, of course people will come up with ideas.
Maybe. We're gonna shotgun through some of these questions here, so we can make sure to answer as many as we can. We won't go too long on any of these answers, so try your best. Let's see. Let's go through. Okay, this is a question. That's a good general question here. I know which one you guys were having the most difficulty with. Would you say that was the one with Nail and Twintania? But was that the one that you guys took the longest to get through, or was there a different one?
Mechanic-wise, definitely Octet. We wasted the most time there. Like, I guess I could talk about this for a bit if you're up for it. Because Grand Octet, sure. There's quite a bit to discuss about the mechanic, because a lot of groups struggled with it.
Okay, in a summary. In a summary, how would you describe it?
So, in summary, it was a mechanic that most people overestimated the difficulty of, and I think they were deceived by other elements of the fight. in thinking that it was more random than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the observation you have to make regarding the direction that the dragons dive in is a pretty obscure one, I'd say. There's nothing that makes a huge amount of sense that if Bahamut's on a cardinal direction that they're going to dive this way. Like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's what you need to notice about the mechanic. Once you notice that, it's completely trivial. But if you don't notice that, it's not impossible, but it's significantly more difficult and requires everyone in the group to pay a lot more attention to marks and which direction they need to run it and stuff like that. So we wiped on that for days until, we finally learned that we could just Mario Kart it based on Bahamut's position, which ended up being a bit of an anticlimax.
Trivialized.
But when you asked earlier, is there, or do you think that we did as well as we could have as a group? And I'm going to say no. I think we could have, or should have, resolved that mechanic a lot more quicker than we did.
Okay. All right. Now that you guys have Aya in your group, though, you'll figure these out quicker, right?
I think he still was on the same assumption as we were for quite a few days.
Oh.
No,
And
actually
I
weren't.
think we both eventually came up with like the same kind of Mario Kart strategy around the same point. Not sure.
We actually figured it out kind of quickly. When we first saw Octet, we did a couple more pulls to see more patterns. And when we had like, I think 6 or so patterns to work with, we took a food break and Phantom, me, and Zeppe, who was not actually waiting with us, but kind of around to help us figure out mechanics, all sat down and tried to figure it out. And then after the food break, what happened was our Bard came back and just randomly pointed out, hey guys, when Bahamut is on a cardinal direction, the dragons seem to dive counterclockwise. And it blew our minds. We didn't figure it out for like an hour. And she randomly comes back and tells us the detail, and then we figure it out pretty quick.
That's awesome.
Well, we wiped on that for about 4 days. Changed our strat daily, pretty much, for that. So yeah, I don't think that had anything to do with. I think we could have solved that quicker.
Okay. All right, here's a good one. The Angered guys were talking about friendship and lasting relationships on the show on another episode, yet Leaf left.
I think I answered that earlier.
Yeah.
Leaf left and came back and left again, and we're still in contact. I mean, when he actually cleared it, he came to our TeamSpeak. We congratulated him. He had a long chat with Raffter and the guys. It's fine. Like we respect hardcore players wherever they are. We don't have this. What people think is like, oh my god, they must hate this guy because he left. No, if the guy leaves in a respectable way, in meaning not mid progression, no rage quits, something like he just didn't feel comfortable playing with the group, and he had his reasons, and we might agree or disagree with them, but he left in a reasonable way, and he joined the group, and good for him. He got a U first. There is no. We still have respect for each other. We have contact. So many of his friends are in our FC, and he congratulated us when we cleared. It's not like he left. I mean, I don't know. Some of the players, they just gonna stay in anger for life. I know this. Some of the players, they have different personalities. They would stay if they think it's better for them, and this is what they're looking for. And others won't stay. Maybe some people don't want to do hardcore, so I keep them in the FC by force or what?
Yeah.
If people want to stay, they're welcome. If they want to leave, they're welcome to leave. But it just reflects on your history and your professionalism. Because when you join another group, and if you left in a really bad way, guess what? They would be thinking, even if they totally trust you, they would be thinking, I mean, could he do this to us? It's just normal. I think one of the best history points is the first progression we ever did. We had someone leaving, I think 3 days before prog. He left and joined another FC, and guess what he did to them? he left them mid-prog, and we won server first. So it's like you can't trust people who are like that. But with Leith, I mean, we have total respect for him, and good for him, and good for Blacklist. They did a good job, and nobody should deny that.
It almost sounded like, oh, you guys can't trust Leaf was from that statement.
I can trust him if he says I'm gonna do progression with you. I know he won't leave.
Okay.
But after progression, I do ask him if you're gonna stay. I mean, I remember telling him, I know that if you're gonna stay here, nobody can stop you from. Nobody can pull you out. But if you want to leave, you are gonna leave, and nobody can stop you. I remember telling him that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good that he decided to leave in not in progression, because in progression it just doesn't look good in a player, regardless of the reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of all these guys staying for 10 days or 9 days for clearing this fight, because you can't imagine, guys, the stress and the pressure for like long endurance fights. It's just too much, and it tests the group, it tests the team. And there was so many messages coming to me privately, and I'm answering them privately, thinking everyone thinks I'm just talking to him. I'm talking to like 5 players already, and I'm just like to let them like focus and chill, and because you need this support. Me and Guinea Bear were just like there to support them all the time and try to solve the other things in the FC that that was. We had a problem in the past with that because we didn't have anyone in management, no trading, but now it's much more flexible. Sorry, I took longer than I should.
No. It's good. It's good. All right.
But Leaf is still like friends with everyone. Like there's no hate between him or us or nothing. Like we still get on really well.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's done. It's just out there in the Twitterverse, people are gonna say dumb things and try to make it into a joke.
He's just an independent guy.
He's his own man.
Comes and goes.
I gotcha. All right, so this is a question about you guys when you were doing progression. How many breaks a day did you guys take when you were doing the hardcore part of it?
Did we have any breaks?
Did you guys go to the bathroom?
I think you saw the WoW episode of South Park, right?
Okay.
It wasn't that bad. When people ask for break, I give them like 10, between like, I don't know, 3 minutes and like 15 minutes or something, depending on what they need.
Okay.
But
I'd say it was.
Don't ask them, they don't go.
It was typically about 10 minutes between instances, and then about an hour to eat dinner, and like 8 hours to sleep.
Okay.
That's like 8 hours. See you in 8 hours, guys.
Oh, okay.
Hope you
So
get to
sleep for like 7
instantly.
hours. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here's a good question. What can Final Fantasy 14 learn from other games to improve their raids? I'm gonna let you guys answer this one. It was kind of pointed at me, but this is more of I'd rather you guys answer this. If you have any kind of other, experience with other MMOs, what could Final Fantasy 14 pull from other MMOs to do better with their raids?
I would say do something like they do in. I mean, I don't think they're gonna take it to esports. It's never gonna happen. It's just because I don't know. If they do it, I'll be surprised. But if they do something like some kind of privileges to people who get world first, like something, just anything, like get invited somewhere, or I mean, anything. It gives some recognition to the players, and it makes the groups want to do more. Maybe even top 10, just give them all something, like just a medal or just something. Because like people love this, even if it was a small thing. It just gives people the motive to push more and get recognition and do more, and feels like it's a step towards getting more of the game. I think. I mean, the Japanese group, they don't have a name, I assume, but I don't know what their name is. But
I think they took a poll or something about someone being a certain height, but like I haven't seen any official name, so I'm not going.
Yeah, like if there was something official from Square Enix or ranking, with your help now, what you're doing is already like getting so many feeds and people watching it. If they do something to get the ranks of like of top 10 or top 5, whatever they like, and get some recognition to the players that work hard on their groups and try and get a good ranking, then it will boost the interest of people to do more. You know, I think, and it will be more of a challenge. Like I would like that. I think many people would if it was a choice, and it wouldn't cost them anything. Like, if what a medal, like, it doesn't have to be a gold piece or anything, just anything. You
Right.
get some kind of recognition. I mean, we were so happy when, for example, Yoshipi mentioned us on stage, on stream. I didn't even expect that. But we were so happy. And that was, I think, it wasn't official or anything, but it was good. We felt good. Why doesn't it become something official for anyone, top 5, top 10, something like that, you know?
Fair enough. All right. Is it true Kakashe is a cutie pie? I don't know who did that one. Ugh. What do you guys think? You guys met him in real life, right? Raffter, Spencer?
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah,
Don't let me
he's a
start,
real
Raffter.
stud.
Okay. Let's see. This is a kind of an interesting question, although I don't know if we can give a short answer for it. We can try, though. What do you think the main factor that resulted in more JP teams clearing Ultimate Bahamut than NA and EU combined at this point? Even a much larger Western player base these days. I don't know if it has a larger Western player base. I guess it might. I've never looked at the statistics. But what do you guys think?
I mean, if you want the honest answer, is that they just have better players and more groups with better players.
Okay.
I think Western groups get caught up too much with internal drama during progression, and it just eats groups alive when you let it get to you.
Yeah. I mean, I can't deny that.
I mean, as an outsider looking at the NA teams, just seeing the revolving door of players that go in and out of each team, and how people are swapping rosters and swapping members all the time. When you have no permanence and you just get angry at someone and like kick them or whatever, like mid prog, you don't make any progress like that. You don't make effective progress when you're changing your roster all the time.
All right. I've got time for a few more questions here. This is the checkpoint question. You guys can just answer this pretty quickly. Do you guys want a checkpoint in this fight?
No. Fight is clearly designed to not have a checkpoint, and there are concessions made for not having a checkpoint. Like the DPS checks are pretty lax. You can have deaths. A lot of the clear videos you can see like 3-4 deaths, whatever, mid-fight, doesn't matter. So no need for a checkpoint.
Okay. Everybody else, same page? Raffter, Aya, Kakashe?
Yeah, I agree. Like, you can't really checkpoint this fight. You need to place no links in specific places. Like, you can't just skip all that stuff. And the whole difficulty of this fight is the fact that you can't mess up significantly in 18 minutes. If it was just like the last phase in Bahamut, this fight would be dead in like less than a week.
Yeah, fight would be dead so quickly if there was a checkpoint at any stage.
Okay. All right.
Testing players on this fight for next progs will be awesome. They change that, then what do we have to go to back to Coil Savage to test players or what?
Yeah.
Having this is something to really see the player doing prog, and I mean doing mechanics at least. The guy can do it as a team and stuff.
Okay. Kakashe, this is a question for you. Would you consider a streaming group that focuses on streaming Angered Prog, not Group 1, and releases some updates on where Group 1 would be currently?
I don't think so. It's just something in hardcore groups. They don't want to stream. Even if someone was ahead of them and they are streaming, they just don't want to stream. And if someone was a streamer, like say for example Xeno or someone famous, Mr. Happy or whoever, then they have to accept. The team has to accept the guy wants to stream because he's a streamer, right? But we don't have this type of person. maybe someone would stream from time to time, yes. But we don't have someone that regularly streams in the FC, so I don't think it will happen. I'll be happy if they do it, but I don't think it will happen.
Okay. And here's a good question. I didn't expect this question to come through. Would you do an angered fan gathering?
Probably.
Yeah? Where would you host it?
Well, it's interesting. We wait for events to happen.
Mhm.
To kind of just do like a 2-3 day meeting point sometime, but we need to see. Like we
Okay.
just need to see where and when. But hopefully, yeah. I mean, we did it already twice, and why not do it now? It doesn't mean. I mean, some people were like, "Rip, they're not going on a trip or something like that." We don't care. Like I said, we care more about the connections between people rather than just if they clear, they get that. If they're not, then it doesn't matter to us.
All right. Okay. So I think we're near the end of the show. We're actually running out of time here. I'm sorry. I wanna do more questions. Maybe we'll do a follow-up Angered show. Angered show number 2. And we'll bring you guys on here. We'll all do cams. Or you know what? We'll do a live Angered show when you do your fan gathering.
I'm surprised we didn't get any Amazon voucher questions, man. What is it? Is the
Are you
troll
paying?
dying?
How'd you get Aya on the team? Did you pay him in Amazon vouchers?
I
There you go.
mean, seriously, like, did it die? I mean, I used to have fun with this.
Come on, yeah. Guys, don't let the
Someone
meme
liked
die. Oh, yeah. There's a lot more questions in here. And if you guys want to, you can answer them. You can post these on Twitter if you want to and say, all right, here's the answer to this question. Give them something to look at here. But, guys, before we head out, before we're done with the show in its entirety, what is something that you want people who are watching Angered and watching you guys to kind of know? Any last words you want to give them in particular?
Raffter, you wanna say something?
Say again, sorry.
I knew it. He's not listening.
What do you want to, for all the fans of Angered, for anyone watching what you guys are doing, what's anything that, if you had some just quick words you want to make sure you shout out to them, what would you like to say to them?
Like, thanks for the support that pretty much everyone gave us, even people on our server giving us gold to buy food for the raid group. Like, people from other groups, like Aya, like, thanks for, like, coming over and helping us. Obviously, shout out to him. And to my WoW boys, keeping me going.
Did you not know what I asked because you were posting the Rio sucks thing in Twitch?
Yeah.
God damn it. God damn it, Raffter. All right. Spencer, do you have anything that you would like to shout out to anybody or say anything before we end off the show here?
So I want to shout out to the Owen group for taking our meme Grand Octet Surf Strat and doing it in a kill. Like, they are true meme lords and need to be recognized. And I also want to shout out to Hararo and the 5150 people, if this gets translated into Japanese, because I had a lot of fun watching their stream and giving them support until they cleared.
It was awesome. They're great guys. They're really nice. Amazingly nice guys. Maybe we'll get them on MogTalk soon. We'll see. I saw your thing light up, Raffter. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say, like, a shout out to Quarry and GG in the chat for waking up for this MogTalk on time.
Yeah.
Oh, is he finally woken up?
Yeah, right on the end. Right on the end of the show, he's here. Okay. Aya, anything that you'd like to say? Last words?
I'd like to shout out to everyone still progressing on Ultimate, and especially my Delete Monk boys, Shindaneko, Phantom, and Howard, who I think are currently still progressing this fight in the same group. And also, in case if this gets translated into Japanese, best of luck to Washers, who I believe are on final phase right now.
Which team?
Washers. The same as
Rushers. The
Speaker
Rushers.
group.
Yeah. Oh, nice. All right. Definitely good luck to those guys. They're like pretty big in the speedrunning community, aren't they?
Yeah. And they're also doing pretty well progressing this fight right now.
Yeah.
I think Godbrocker are doing pretty well. I haven't kept a huge eye on their stream because I've been watching rushes, but I think Godbrock might be close to a kill as well.
Nice, nice. Oh,
In the next few days, anyway.
yeah. Okay. And then Kakashe, I figured I'd end off on you for your shout-outs and everything else.
I'd like to shout out on for my FC, our community in the EU. They were awesome. Everyone who cheered for us and supported us during these 10 days of progression. And shout out to the Final Fantasy game developers, because we need to support these guys. They will get hammered so much for giving us this content, and I hope people support them for what they're doing and give us at least something not so easy next time, something decent to be proud of and to be happy with.
I think that's something a lot of people need to give a good shout out to, is those developers who gave us this content that we've been all just thirsty for. We've been wanting it for so long, and now we got it. There were people out there that, you know, kind of fight and complain about it, but man, I am not going to complain one bit. I can't. This is what we wanted. This is what we asked for, and we got it, and I'm completely satisfied. Even if I never clear it, I don't care. It's awesome that they brought something to the community that had this much of an impact, at least in a spectator way. So, all right, well, guys, I think that's to wrap it up. There's more questions on here. If you have these, feel free to direct them over to Angered at the Twitter. If they want to follow you guys, what's the best way for them to follow you as a group?
Our Twitter account. I mean, we update everything there, major stuff.
And it's Angered FFXIV, right?
Yeah, I'll post it on the chat.
Excellent, excellent. And you guys don't have like personal Twitters that you guys put out there. It's just the Angered one, right?
I'm not sure if the guys have, but for us, yeah. We usually on Angered, we update major stuff on groups and FCs, and if, for example, they want to know how many groups we're going next prog and what's happening in the FC, if we have a fan gathering or something, it's always on Angered website. And I believe some of us have private. I've seen a few, but usually it's retweeted on Angered anyway. So like all of them, when they tweet, we just retweet it on Angered, and yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, I think that's good for the show today. I appreciate you coming by doing this interview with me. I always love having you guys on, every single time. It's always interesting to follow what you guys are doing. But good.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say I'm a bit disappointed that people are not trolling us anymore. I mean, we get one first. Come on, where's the Mystic jokes? At least one. You
wanted the Mystic? When's the Mystic guide coming out, Kakashe? There you go.
It's always funny, man.
If you want one of those trolls or jokes, all you got to do is go to Xeno's channel.
Yeah, I have it all over my Twitter, but I'm surprised during the MogTalk. I mean, how many people are here?
Yeah.
Right, we got 212 people, and not even
that single one of them want to sit there and troll you.
Maybe they feel bad for us, or I don't know. They don't want to increase.
All right, guys, too nice. MogTalk audience, too nice, guys. Can anyone Angered explain how dinosaur bones turn into car food? What? That's not even like a good. Go ahead.
That's a joke, man, because I'm from the Middle East.
And
it's like oil,
I've got so many of those. Like when I talk to people about the show, they're like, "Oh, how does oil fund world first rating?" I'm like, "Come on."
It's funny, man. I always love these, man. It just gives like something to talk about during the week when they reply.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We got another show popping up here a second. And just, I think, 20 minutes or so. It's going to be a little bit of setup. We might be a little bit behind on it. But stay tuned. It's the PvP show. We are going to be discussing PvP in Final Fantasy XIV and the new stuff the community's doing to support that with the Aether League and everything else. But, guys, thank you again for coming on. And I know you guys want to do your wave. You guys are all waving?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Conquest the chat.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, stick around. We'll be back here in just a second. Until then, be good. Keep cool. Stay frosty. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.